Everyone, welcome to your week 2 fractions. Very excited to do this with you. This will take some getting used to. This is still sort of like the launching of things, so don't get frustrated. We'll figure it out. Reach out to me anytime you need. But this is your week 2 Hutch math lesson. It's me teaching along with the worksheets that you need to do to show your work and work along with me. You may not be able to work along with me too well because to watch the video and do the sheets digitally is going to be a little bit challenging. I mean, you could, if you know how to split screen the YouTube video with the explain everything, you could, but it's going to be pretty tiny to work with. So that's up to you to figure out what works best for you. Or if you just want to watch a little bit, pause and go to explain everything, then come back and bounce back and forth. You got to figure out what works best for you. All right, so we're starting off on the McCain Fourth math page. If you don't have this bookmarked, you may want to do that because we're going to use it a lot. This is your go-to home place. Today is focusing on Tuesdays, which is Hutch video lesson. You can see right here, and all your materials are down below in this space here. So right now you're watching that middle blue Tuesday Hutch video. Right next to it is the week 2 fractions work. So we're going to go ahead and click that. It'll bring up a browser, and we're going to hit the little square with the up arrow. Okay. And that is your export button, and then copy to explain edu. Now, this is important. For the notes for Zern, we chose horizontal with them side by side. For this, because there's 3 pages, they'll get super, super tiny that way. We do want to change that to separate slides before we hit the insert button. So now it's in there as separate slides, and there we go. We're ready, set. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get started with this. Pause the video at any point to go to explain everything and work and back and forth. Do what you got to do. So today I want to teach you about adding and subtracting fractions, but I want you to be able to represent them on these things which are called like tape diagrams or bars. Basically, it's representing fractions. I need you to be able to know how to do that. I need you to be able to do it with number lines, okay? And I need you to be able to then just solve addition, subtraction of fractions, which is honestly super easy. You'll fly through it, but I also want you to simplify them, which is just that next higher level piece, which because we've done the equivalent fractions, you'll probably kick butt at, honestly. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at your first page, which is called fraction tape. Okay, so anytime you see fifths, they are a pain in the butt to represent on a pre-made bar. So right away, I'm going to tell you, do not use the pre-made bar. Okay, when you're dealing with fifths, you're just going to make your own underneath. And so it doesn't have to be that size of that hole. You're going to want to just make equal size pieces. Okay, and we're going to go like this. Okay, so they have to be equal size pieces though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you're going to ignore this for anything you're dealing with fifths or tenths, some of those weird denominators. All right, now that we have fifths, we need to represent this addition equation. So here's how we're going to do that. You're going to show the 2/5 by going like this and labeling it 2/5. Then you'll show the 1/5, and then you'll show the 1/5. Okay, so we're just representing the addition equation through a model. Okay, this is then going to show that I have 4/5. So you'll put your equal sign like that. That's it. That's the basics of it. Okay, moving down to represent one whole. I'll just do one more and then you're probably all set. Again, I need to make fifths, which is an annoying one, so I'm going to ignore the pre-made bar and make my own. Anytime we're dealing with fifths, huge pain in the butt. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again, I'm going to now represent 2 fifths by drawing a little arc to represent that distance, and then 2 fifths, and then 1/5. Okay, so you just zoom in and you write with your finger the best you can. Okay, make sure you put your equals, 1 whole. Okay, all right. Moving down to here, we can use these bars because cutting something in 8ths is very easy, actually, and cutting into 6 is easy, and so on. So because we know what to start with, but you're going to have to think back quite a ways. So remember, we started off with cutting things in half, which doubles to 4ths, which doubles to 8ths. Okay? Or you can cut into 3rds, which doubles to 6ths, which doubles to 12ths. So if it's any of those denominators, those are nice. You can create those using the bar. So let's just take a look at what the 8ths look like. So as we do this, I need to make 8ths. So I know I'm going to start with halves, then go fourths, then go 8ths. You have to think through it before you start. So we cut it right in half. Then I'm going to double those pieces, which makes fourths, and now I'm going to double those pieces. Double, 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 double. Now I have 8ths. Okay. Now that I have 8ths, we can do the same thing as above and represent those. Okay. So that's your job, is to finish this. When you're done with this page, just make sure that you back it out so that we can see the full image, and screenshot. Save it to your camera roll, upload that to the actual file that I have as your to-do list on ClassDojo. Okay? Then you're going to go to the next page, which is adding and subtracting on a number line. So pause if you need, do what you got to do. When you're ready, here we go. Okay? So adding and subtracting on a number line. You need to just write the equation that is shown on the number line, and then we'll do the opposite as well. So I'll just do a couple to just represent it for you and model how it works. So let me get this up here. Underline important info, write the equation, write your answer, and we need to simplify if possible. So this is a little new added piece here. So all I see it starting at 0, and it is jumping to 3/6. Okay, so we have 3/6 plus another 1/6. So when you're looking at that, look at the initial jump of what it's doing and then what it's adding after that. So all I'm going to do over here is, and I can even do it right next to it is fine, I'm going to write that I have a distance of 3/6. Then I'm going to add the 1/6. We're not adding 4/6. We're adding one of those 6ths to get then equals the 4/6, which is my final location here. So just be aware of that. Okay, and that's all you need to do. Now let's take a look at going backwards, which is subtraction. So you can see we're starting at 5/6 and we're going backwards. So write down your starting location first. Since we're going backwards, it's subtracting, and you need to identify how much backwards you are going. So I'm going back 1/6, 2/6, 3/6. So you can see how I make those little marks there to represent that in my head. Okay, so I'm going back 3/6, and where is my final end location? My end location is 2/6. So this is how you represent it on a number line. And this is fine how it is. You don't need to rewrite it on the lines over there. All right. Now we get into draw a number line. A little bit different. I'm just going to do this first one, number 3, and then you're going to be in charge of number 4, and so on. So here we go. Ready? Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my points for right here and right here. This is my 0 and my 1 whole. because right away I notice my fractions do not say more than a whole. They are between 0 and 1. So we're going to put our 0 and 1 first thing you would do. You could even do it right there on number 4. You could even do it down there on whatever those things are. We haven't got there yet. All right, now that I've got that set up, now I need to break it into eighths. So how do I make eighths? I have to think aloud. Okay, if I start at thirds, that goes thirds, doubles to 6, doubles to 12th. That doesn't work. Halves, doubles to fourths, which doubles to, you got it. All right, so we're going to cut it in half. When you cut in half, make it sort of bigger of a tick mark. Then we're going to double those pieces, smaller tick marks though. Double those, so that's fourths, and then double all of those, but even smaller tick marks. One, double, 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 and double. Okay? So now that I have eighths, I can go ahead and represent this. So I'm just going to pick a different color. You could too on your explain everything if you want. So where are we starting? We're starting at 3/8, which is 1, 2, 3. So I'm doing these little jumps. Okay? 1, 2, 3. So here's my start, which is 3/8. So you can see I put a point and I labeled 3/8. Now what am I doing? I'm adding 2/8. So I'm going to show that 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. So if you want to show it like this, okay, you can show the little eighth jumps if you want, or if you want to do one big 2/8 jump, you can do that. Okay, what I did here sort of looks like plus 1/8 plus 1/8. So I am going to do the arrow like this and show 2/8 of a jump, and then I need to show where it lands. So 3/8 plus 2/8 ends me at 5/8. Okay, so this is showing this equation. All right, over here to number 4, you're going to do that, but it's subtraction. So you're going to first create twelfths. Okay, cut into thirds, then sixths, then eighths. And remember to make thirds. Start at the middle and go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. And you're going to make thirds, double it to sixths, double it to twelfths. Once you do that, this is your starting point, 9/12, and you need to then go backwards 3/12. So make sure you show that with an actual arrow going backwards, okay, to represent that equation. All right, down here we have plant A growing a certain amount in the first week and then adding a certain amount in the second week. Plant B grew 7/12 the first week and then did not do anything. That sounds like easy math. They want you to use both of these number lines. So you're going to have to break them into twelfths. Make sure you mark your 0 and your 1 whole. Break them into twelfths and show that movement in number lines. Okay? And then answer the question in this spot right here. Okay? All right. Moving down to number 6, find the equation. All right? All right. Pause if you need. Go ahead and work on that, and then come back to the next spot. Okay? Here is your page 3. Oh, and remember with this, you're going to back, once you're all done with it, you're going to back it all out so you can see the whole thing. Screenshot this, go to Class Dojo, and upload this to your to-do list in your activities, in your portfolio. Upload this to the Practice 12-5 folder. Okay? All right. Over here. So now we're on to adding and subtracting fractions. All right. Now, and we did need to simplify. So we need to talk about that too. We forgot about that. Okay. Simplify means to make it simpler or reduce it. By reducing, we're talking about making an equivalent fraction that has smaller numbers, but the piece sizes are actually bigger. You'll see what I mean in a second. So simplifying means we're going to divide by 1 whole. Okay? But you can't always simplify. Sometimes it's as low as it can go. So if you look at this, 4/6 can be simplified into a more basic fraction. That's really what that means. So I notice that 4 and 6 are both multiples of 2. So I can divide by 2 over 2. This is dividing by 1 whole, which doesn't change the fraction, just changes how it looks. Okay, which equals, what times 2 equals 4? 2. What times 2 equals 6? 3. And there we go, down to 2/3. Now, I could need to ask myself, can I simplify it even more? Can I divide by a whole? Can I divide by 2 over 2, 3 over 3? And when you look at 2/3, you can see there's nothing that works for me to divide both top and bottom by to be the same number. So that is as low as it goes. This is my final answer, simplified as much as it can. So let's look at that with 2/6. And I want you to think about that and do that one on your own. Both of those are even numbers. That's a great, great hint that you can simplify. So I want you to decide what you can divide by. You need to pick a whole, something over something, the same numbers, so that you can simplify 2/6. What is it equivalent to that is a more basic fraction? Okay, so that's something you can do and send and surprise me with. All right, now officially over to your add and subtract fractions. So here we go. Find each sum or difference and then simplify. So the sum and difference part is going to be super easy. I do not need to spend a lot of time with that. So let's focus on just a couple problems and then right into the simplifying part, because that's really what this is about today. Okay, making this bigger. Here we go. We have 2/5 plus 2/5. The biggest thing I can tell you is in your head, you need to be saying 2/5 plus 2/5 equals how many fifths. Don't just look at it and go, 2/5 plus 2/5, because guess what? Someone's going to do accidentally, which is wrong. They're going to add the denominators. Don't do it. That is bad. Don't add the denominators. When you do this, we're adding 2/5 plus 2/5. We're not changing the denominators. And now, how many fifths do we have? We have 4/5. Okay, so I'm dragging that out because that's super important. So we're just going to write equals 4/5. Okay, now I need to look, can I simplify that? Can you divide 4/5 by the same numbers to make it a more basic fraction? And having a 5 right there, this just isn't going to work with a 4 in the numerator and a 5 in the denominator. Not going to happen. So that is as simple as it can go. I can't divide by 2 over 2. I can't divide by 3 over 3. And simplifying is always dividing. Okay, so I am done. That's my final answer. Let's look at number 3 here. Okay, we have subtraction, so just pay attention to those operations. It is a mix of addition and subtraction. So 4/5 minus 1/5, again, we say in our head, equals how many fifths? And then it makes it super easy. So 4 minus 1 is 3, so we have 3/5. It is not 3 over 0. Don't mess with the denominator. We're just adding, subtracting fifths, that size pieces. Okay, again, I want to look and see if I can simplify. Can I simplify 3/5 divided by 1 whole? Divided by 2 over 2? Nope, that won't work because 3 divided by 2, that's not working. They're both odd. So does that mean something should work? No, not necessarily. Divided by 3 over 3 does not work either because 5, there's nothing times 3 equals 5. So 5 is a prime number and 3 is a prime number. So this is completely simplified already. Okay. All right. Let's just do one where we can simplify. Number 5. 6/8 minus 2/8 equals how many eighths? Equals 4/8. Some of you right away are going, oh, 4/8. I know what that is. Good for you. Can I simplify? Yes. They're both even numbers. I can always do divided by 2 over 2. There's my whole that I'm dividing by. So I have 2 and 4. But wait, you have to look at it and go, can I simplify it even more? Yes, you can, right? We still have a 2 and a 4. They're both multiples of 2. So I can divide by 2 over 2 again, and I get 1/2 as my final answer. Now, one thing we need to talk about, could you have just divided by something different originally to go all the way to half? Absolutely. And if when you're doing this, your brain sees that, that's awesome. So I want to now ask you, what could you have divided by to simplify it all the way down right away? 4/8 divided by, if you said this, 4/4, then ding, 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 you got it. We have 1/2 instantly done. And notice the connection with the divided by 2/2 divided by 2/2. It's the same thing as dividing by 4/4. So you can see how you could do the longer version, or maybe you happen to notice that you could have divided by a bigger whole to simplify it quicker. All right, so that is your task, is to go through this page, and you're just going to have to zoom in and do what you need to do. Be aware there's some three-digit fraction ones, so 3 separate fractions. So we have 1/8 plus 3/8 plus 2/8 equals how many eighths? Still same process, and every single one simplify. Okay. If you need help, reach out. When you're all done with that, you're just going to back that out to a full screen, screenshot it, and go to your dojo, upload it to your portfolio to add and subtract fractions for week 2. Okay. Good luck with it all. Very, very proud of you all for working hard.